I've now reached the point of making the pinions, and I'm starting the lantern pinion on the largest one, which is 10 rollers around, on about a 25mm pitch circle. So I've got a blank here which I machined down to 31.1. Just got a little decorative detail to put in here, and then I'll reverse this round and machine off the other end. A little bit tricky to machine this and not easy to hold. That little relieving detail gives the illusion that it's slightly thinner than it is. So I now flip this round. That's running true, so I'm happy that that's got enough of a hold at the front and the back for me to be able to machine this end off now. So I can take away the end support. At 2mm, just needs a touch more. Now I've got the same decorative detail to put in that I put in on the other end, but I'll leave that for a moment. I've set up my Potts milling spindle to drill the holes in the lantern pinion, and I first of all had to centre it on the x-axis, and that I do quite easily by putting something in my spindle of this and then moving it into the hole that I've already drilled, and it's a cone, accurate cone shape on there, and it just goes in without to where the hole is without bending up or down or sideways, so that's definitely on the correct axis. Normally I would centre on the DRO by touching off each side and moving across half the difference, but in this case I can't get to the edges, so I've had to do it this way, but it's just the same thing really. And then up on the DRO, that's now I'll do it again, that's centered on the axis, so all I have to do now is to wind the carriage of the lathe across back until I get to the distance that I need to make the holes. The BCD is 25mm, so I have to come back half of that from the centre. So that's straightforward to do, and then I lock everything and I can start off then drilling. This is my usual arrangement for indexing things on the lathe, with the spring-loaded plunger and the arm screwed through the casing here, and they're Chronos plates which are unfortunately no longer available, and they cater for most clock making combinations of holes, and there are 2 in the series. And you can drill the back of them, so that if you've got extra holes you want to put in, you can make the holes by using dividers and drill them in the way in which the old timers would have used. Now set this up to drill into the mounted pinion. I'm doing it, there are 10 holes to be drilled. I've set up the DRO at 25 millimeters of diameter, and I'll drill it through with a centre drill first. The only reason I'm doing this is because it's absolutely essential that the drill goes through dead straight and doesn't wander off, because if it goes through the first one slightly off centre, it gets multiplied as you go through into the next one, because you're going to have to drill through the whole lot in one pass. So we'll try this and hope that all goes well. Switch on here. No need to rush this, I'm taking it very gently and carefully. That's that drilled round. The next job is to put the small drill in. Off camera I ran the drill to check it was running straight, which it was, and then I found that it wasn't biting at a straight angle when it reached the other side, and it was just because it was turning a bit too slowly. But running in maximum power it seems to be fine now, so I'll just carry on. and that's those drilled. Right, I've taken the lantern pinion out, and I've just put in some lengths of 1.5mm brass, and you can see that they all are nice and square and running through straight, so that's going to be fine. Next thing to do is to just check that the rollers are the right length. I may have to just trim one or two of them slightly. Just fitted the wooden rollers in and got that together so you can see how they fit. Just a little bit tight. Make sure that's in focus. The mating with the great wheel is fine, so I'm quite happy that that's going to be okay, but I will depth it as I had done on the previous wheel. But anyway, that's good progress today, and that's one of the jobs that could have gone wrong hasn't, thank goodness. I'm about to drill a 6 roller pinion, and it's exactly the same setup as I had before. The Potts milling spindle is mounted in front. I've taken this from a slightly different angle in the hopes that this will focus a little bit better. So I'll just quickly drill the centre drill marks, and then I'll go around and drill through with a longer drill. That's those done. Change drill. That's finished drilling those. All I need now to do is to part this off and mount up the rollers on their wires. I'm just depthing the great wheel with its 10 roller pinion, lantern pinion, and it mates very nicely, as I thought it would do. So you're just putting a little bit of pressure on the wheel and the pinion, it's absolutely free to turn. The only time it does have a problem is if it snags a tooth up against the edge of the shroud, and that's only because the wheel's not properly fixed in, so it's just may catch on the side there. It might not be a bad idea just to take an angle off on the teeth, just to ease the path in so that it doesn't have any possibility of jamming there. But yeah, that's fine. And measuring the distance across there is 92.7, something like that. 92.7, and by 92 82.7 minus 4.86 for the thickness of the rods there gives 87.84 as the depth amount, and that's very close to the mathematical distance, so I'm happy enough that that's going to be okay. If you have, it's important that when you make the wheels, that the wheels are checked for the PCD, the pitch circle diameter, after they're made. So you really need to do is to check the distance between where the curve of the hemisphere on the end of the teeth is with the one opposite, and that is 149 millimeters. If it's different, then if you you can deal with that. If your wheel is slightly smaller because of the topping and rounding of teeth after it's been made, there is an easy solution to that, which is just to multiply, regard the wheel as being the most important thing, make the wheel a fraction of what it should be, and then reduce the pitch circle on the pinion by that fraction is the simplest way of dealing with it. And I had two wheels that were undersize and I had to change the pinion, but it is vital that the pinions do run absolutely smoothly, and I think now I understand it a bit better. I could have done probably the going side slightly more accurately. I'm ready to start to blue the hands. These are the hands that I've cleaned up. I made sure I haven't touched them with my hands or with anything greasy, and the idea is to use the bluing salts, which melts at somewhere close to the temperature I need, and I'm looking for a temperature of between 282 and 310, probably, yeah, around about the 300 mark. Since I did this many years ago, we've now got these rather fancy temperature indicators, which you can check on a temperature very easily. So that shows that temperature of that at 65.6 degrees centigrade. It's only just switched into the simmer position, so I'll turn it up now and put on the salts. And I've got to fill this really full. Right, that's the bluing salts. You just have to watch for the temperature. It'll melt first. I'll come back when this has started to melt. It's starting to heat up now. 150, 160 degrees. It's still not melted yet. I have got safety glasses on. I've got some gloves that are heat resistant that I use on my stove, so I will make sure that I've got adequate safety measures in hand, because these salts, if they get a drop of water in, will spit like crazy. And the idea is to blue them until the temperature's right, or until they've gone the right colour blue, lift them up and then dunk them in water, which I've got in the pot. If you can see my finger there behind. So I have to be very careful when I'm doing this. And I certainly can't take them back out of the water and put them in the pan with it hot. Just have to be careful. It's now reached the point where it's melting. It's not quite fully melted yet, but it's very close. And it's around about 270 degrees. So it's getting close now. I'm sorry I didn't catch that on video because I was struggling a bit to get the temperature up to the right point. In the end I had to persuade it a little bit with a blowtorch. The colour isn't perfect and there's some blotchiness on it, which is annoying. And I've probably gone slightly too far over the darker blue, which I would have preferred, but it will have to do now. I've dunked them in water first just to get rid of the salts, and oiled them. So yeah, those are the hands that are now done. It's not done to the same standard as one of the other YouTube contributors, but he wasn't using bluing salts. I don't know whether it would have been easier or worse if he'd used them. I've tried using it with brass filings, but it's very difficult to keep the length all average temperature. But that will have to do. I've done the best I can do with those.